Well, May was a pleasant month as an investor as the S&P 500 rose to all-time highs and went up almost 5%. But anytime we hit all-time highs, I have this question just lingering in my head. How high can this go? I mean, at some point, there must be a correction, right? So let me show you how my portfolio is doing right now, what contributed to almost 2,000 euros in profit just in May, and how I deal with S&P 500 being at all-time highs. Hello finance people, my name is Robert and I'm here to share with you my learnings and experiences about personal finance as a European. So let's jump into my portfolio tracker and I'll explain the situation. So first let's take a look at stocks, and this month has been pretty much plus minus zero for me because I made whopping $6 this month from stocks. This is just because I had some went up, some went down, but the fluctuation was quite small compared to the previous months. So you can see here Nokia went a little bit up, so did Microsoft, but then Tesla and Amazon went down, whereas those are a bit bigger stakes in my portfolio when we're looking at stocks specifically. So nothing interesting here. But next is crypto, and this is where it gets slightly more interesting because this month was pretty good for crypto. For my Bitcoin, I am up by 14%, and also BNB has been up, so I made about $60 there, or 60 euros there, and you can see that this month from crypto I'm up by about 1,200 euros, and that's 12% when we're looking only at crypto portfolio. Doing pretty well when we compare that to S&P 500, which is 5% up. Now we get to the biggest part of my portfolio, which is the ETFs. So when we look at ETFs, that's where we have big differences with S&P 500. So my main stake is in VUSA. That tracks S&P 500, and you can see I only made 2.2%. And if you compare that to 5% in S&P 500, it raises the question, why is this happening? Now, I think there's two reasons this is happening. First of all, I always top up my account, or I buy more stocks automatically at the end of the month. So maybe there's some influence there. Plus, there's some difference in currency because I'm buying this VUSA in euros, whereas the asset and S&P 500 is in dollars. So there might be some differences when the value between dollars and euros changes. It has an influence on my portfolio as well. But overall, good month. I'm up by 2%, and that's 600 euros, a little bit more than 600 euros. Now let's talk about ETFs being at all-time highs, because this is a big concern all the time. If I see it going, there was a few years ago when I was just getting into investing, I really looked at this, okay, we're at all-time highs. It cannot go higher than this. And we were probably, I don't know, 20% lower than we're now. And still, we went up and up and up. And what's strange right now that we're still growing, although we have high interest rates. What's going to happen when the Fed starts to dropping those interest rates? We should have even more money in the economy, and then it starts growing. But that's just speculation. I have no idea. But what I can say for sure, I don't really care if the market is at all-time highs, because I use a strategy called dollar cost averaging. So I invest same amount of money every month, no matter what. And actually, for me, it would be more beneficial if the stock market went down a little bit, because then I can buy a little bit cheaper, because I'm not looking at next year. I'm looking at next 5 to 10 years, maybe even 20 years, because I'm just using this money to preserve my wealth, and it's definitely not something I'm looking to get rich from. So, and just in general, if you're super low risk when it comes to finances, I would definitely check out dollar cost averaging. I'll just link a video right here so that you can just go and check it out, because after I implemented this, I never even think about this because it all happens automatically, and I don't need to make decisions every month, because I noticed if I do have to make the decision, it takes longer. I try to time the market and it just doesn't work out. And I would say I'm so risk averse that at one point I got like a bonus at work, and there was some tax money at the same time. So I had a bit bigger pot of money that I wanted to invest, but I just couldn't put it all in one go. So some people recommend using lump sum investing. So anytime you have some money, just put it in the market. I just couldn't do it. I cannot handle if the market would make a correction at that point and wait for it to grow back. That's why dollar cost averaging has been perfect for me, because I just don't feel like I'm losing money. If one month is bad, it's okay, because I had a couple other months that were good. So it just somehow works better for me. Even if lump sum, in some cases, if I would have just put that money in one go at that point, I would have made more money by now. My investment would have grown more, but it just didn't happen because I don't feel comfortable with it. I think you also should feel yourself what's your relationship with money. Because if you're not comfortable with investing, if you're not comfortable putting that money and you're always stressing about it, then is it really worth it? Something interesting that I noticed about myself, that it's not always maximizing the profit. It's sometimes also making sure that you also feel good about the investment. So let's go back to my tracker, and next one is peer-to-peer lending. For peer-to-peer lending, it's just going like on rails. It's every month pretty much the same. This month I made 40 euros, but I only have 5,000 invested, and I'm looking at something between 11 and 14% per year or annual return on my investment. So I'm just tracking these so that you can see the progress. I haven't had any issues so far. I've been quite happy with these two platforms. I had Mintos and Esketit. Definitely worth checking out if you want something more stable in terms of stable returns. It'll be interesting to see what happens to these platforms, what kind of returns I can expect once ECB starts dropping the interest rates. But for now, we only had just a small drop a couple days ago. And overall, my portfolio did pretty well this month. And I'm saying pretty just because I'm up by 3%, which is great. That's a profit of almost 2,000 euros just this month. However, S&P 500 was 5%. So just having all the money in S&P 500 would have made me more than right now what I made this month. But I need to look up why this happened. So for me, the biggest one, because my biggest part of my portfolio is in the USA. You can see here I have sort of a pie here. ETFs is almost 60% of my portfolio, and which is good. This is what I want to have. And VUSA is 45% of that. So I'm definitely quite reliant on that one. And because this month I have a big difference with S&P 500. So I need to take a look. It was really the currency or what influenced that I had a discrepancy with S&P 500. But overall, I'm in the green. So I'm really happy with the results of this month. I don't know about you, but when I started investing, I felt very anxious about stock investing. It got to the point where market fluctuation would just influence my mood for the day. But then I discovered a few methods to better cope with it. That's why I created this video right here, where I'll explain 6 methods that help me to get rid of my anxiety related to investing.